Hi, this is Joe again with another review. For the sake of this video, we're going to be discussing the 2002 film Panic Room, starring Jodie Foster, Kristen Stewart. Yes, that Kristen Stewart was the one was in those terrible Twilight movies. Forrest Whitaker and Dwight Yoakam starring in this film as well. But this movie actually should have been titled Die Hard in the House, or Brownstone. Die Hard in the Brownstone Building, because that's basically what it is. Now, of course, if you don't get the reference, Die Hard, when the first Die Hard movie came out in 1988, it became a big hit, especially on video and cable and stuff, and it started a whole franchise of, I think, about like 6 films. So after that, there was a whole bunch of other movies that was like a rip-off of Die Hard. You had Under Siege, which was Die Hard on a Navy ship. You had Speed, which was Die Hard on a bus. You had Speed 2, which was Die Hard on a cruise ship. You had, of course, they also had Under Siege 2, which was Die Hard on a train. You had Cliffhanger, starring Stallone, Sylvester Stallone, which was Die Hard on a cliff. So you had a whole bunch of these, and plus also you had the Die Hard sequels throughout the 90s and into the 2000s. So you had also a whole bunch of not only the Die Hard franchise, but all these rip-offs of the Die Hard premise of a person who's an average person caught fighting bad guys. And Panic Room was Die Hard in a house. Or Brownstone in New York, New York City. And of course, so it's Jodie Foster who recently separated from her husband, who has a daughter with diabetes, and that's going to come into play in the film. Who buys a brownstone on the Upper West Side of Manhattan near Central Park, and this house, she buys the whole house. I mean, she got like a great price for it, and when she finds out, when she was doing the tour of the house with the realtors, she finds out that this house has actually what we call a panic room. Now, a panic room, for those of you who don't know what a panic room is a room in the house that will be protected in case somebody breaks into your house. And they have security cameras, the monitors for all the security cameras inside and outside of the house. You have an outside line in case the phone line gets cut, or if a cell phone is not available, because you can't use a cell phone in this thing. They have a separate line just for the panic room, so you can call the cops or EMT or fire department, whatever. And this room is protected by about 6 inches of steel, not concrete, and steel. So it's protected from bombs, from fire, from anything, any kind of break-in, and it's pretty much a solid thing. And they have food in there, and a bathroom in there, all the type of things that you need to protect yourself in case people break into your house. So, on the very day that Jodie Foster moves into the house with her daughter, played by Kristen Stewart, 3 guys break into the house. And one of them played by Forrest Whitaker, and another one played by Dwight Yoakam, the country singer. And I forgot who the name of the third guy who played the third guy in the film. And they break into the house, and they expected the house to be empty, because one of them knows a secret is in that house. And spoiler for those who didn't see the movie, the previous owner of that house, who had died, and that's why the house was on the market, had about $5 million in bearer bonds hidden in a safe that's in the panic room, which of course Jodie Foster don't know there was a safe in there. That's underneath the floor in the panic room. So they didn't even know that the safe was even in there. And so when these 3 guys break in, they want what's in the panic room. So Jodie Foster and the daughter, Kristen Stewart, they both run into the panic room, and they locked the panic room, and they were in there, and that's where the three guys want to go, and they didn't know they were in the house because one of them, the Forrest Whitaker character, actually worked on the security in the house, actually built that panic room. So he knows everything about that panic room, and he also knew about the safe that's in there. So, and one of them, the third guy, who I forgot his name, was like a grandson of the guy who owned that house. So he knows that the guy had the money in the safe room. You know, in this hidden safe in the safe room. So all three of them were trying to convince Jodie Foster to get out of that room, and she says, forget it, no way. And they have a PA, and there's a PA system. So Jodie Foster is telling them, get the blank out of my house. And it's very unique to hear, except for the the movie where she won the first Academy Award for. I'm drawing a blank on the name of it. I know as soon as I finish doing this video, I'm going to remember the movie. On The Accused. When she did The Accused, you heard her say the F word in that movie. So it's been a long time that you heard Jodie Foster use the F word, and she uses it in this film. And right now, but Jodie Foster looks smoking hot in this movie. I mean, she couldn't look any hotter in this movie. Jodie Foster was always beautiful to begin with, but she was really smoking hot and showing some skin, which you hardly see her do in her movies. But neither here nor there. But when she starts cursing, it's very weird to see someone who was that hot, have a potty mouth in this movie. Right? So that kind of threw me off a little bit. But anyway, she tells the guys to get the hell out of the house. And in this movie, the three guys do get into the safe room. I'm not gonna say how they got in. They got in, and the daughter, like I said, had diabetes, and she had a device on her wrist, a watch that monitors her blood sugar is. So her blood sugar was going to a low level, and actually she had to have something to eat or something with sugar in it to bring her sugar back up. And I know from experience. So she has to have, something in the system to bring her blood sugar back up. And there was nothing in there was food in the safe room, but not food with sugar in it. Or let's say they don't have any candy bars, so bring the sugar up, or orange juice would bring the sugar up. So Jodie Foster had to get insulin for the door, and she had to go out of the panic room, and the three guys jumped in there, and they find out the door was sick, and Jodie Foster throws the insulin with the needles into the room, and it got Forrest Whitaker was convinced by Jodie Foster to give the daughter a shot of insulin, which saved the daughter's life. When she did the right thing there, even though he wanted broke in the house to get the money or the bail bonds. So, long story short, they do get the bail bonds out, and the guy who was the grandson, he gets killed by by Drake Yoakum's character. Spoiler. And then Drake Yoakum gets killed by Forrest Whitaker. Spoiler, not a spoiler. So Forrest Whitaker was the only one who lives, and he gets captured by the cops at the end of the movie. Jodie Foster happens to pretty much win by default. And one thing they decided to do was actually, of course, move out of that house. And so at the end of the movie, Kristen Stewart and Jodie Foster are sitting on a bench in Central Park, and they're looking at the classified ads for the house, or the one ads, or for looking for a new house to either buy or to rent. And so, we got this thing here, Upper East Side, Lower East Side, this, and three bedrooms, and 2 bathrooms, whatever. And that's pretty much how the movie ends. Jodie Foster coming up on top. And I mean, true she won, but she didn't have like the die-hard win where she kills all 3 guys. Like Bruce Willis did in those movies, or Stallone, or Cliffhanger, or Steven Seagal, and Under Siege, and all that stuff. That doesn't happen in this movie though, because they all pretty much kill each other. They kill each other off. And Forrest Whitaker was the last man standing, and he got arrested. And he throws all the barrel bonds up in the air, and the cops has to arrest him. And you never find out what happened to Forrest Whitaker's character. If he went to trial, he's going to spend the rest of his life in prison. You really, it's like really unresolved with that part. Because actually, a movie like this would end in a happy ending. But Joy Forster, I thought she could. Other than maybe in Silence of the Lambs, you never really see, or have seen, Joy Forster in an action film. I can say this would be an action movie. And to see her do a Die Hard ripoff thing in this is really unique, because usually when they have one of the Die Hard ripoffs movies, like I mentioned in the top of this review, it's usually a guy. Who's the hero. This is, I think, is the only one that has a woman as the hero. And you can't get much better than Jodie Foster, or any harder than Jodie Foster, as she was in this movie. I just wish, if Jodie Foster is having to watch this video, or her agents, or people, whatever, I just wish she'd go back to doing movies. I mean, it's been a long time that she's done a movie, and if she keeps making movie or turds like this one was, I mean, she's not gonna make any movies anymore, because like I said, this was like Die Hard in the House type film. And I think the movie got good ratings because it was Jodie Foster in an action film, and Jodie Foster she's a great actor. I mean, she is a 2-time Oscar winner, and she is a damn good actress, and she makes the part believable, even though we've seen this type of movie so many bastard times. By the time this movie came out, it's been redone so many times. People were getting tired of the Die Hard premise, and this was, I think, was one of the last ones, and not the last one to ever come out, ripping off Die Hard. But I'm not saying it's not a bad movie. It's just that it's, you've seen it so many times throughout the 90s. Like you mentioned a couple times, this Die Hard ripoffs, and people were getting tired of this premise, and they had to move on. And that's what Hollywood did. They moved on from that premise. But as it is one of the better ones, the ripoffs, and of course I like Jodie Foster, so anything with Jodie Foster I want to like. So, but like I said, she never looked any hotter than she did in this movie, and it's true. I mean, she was hot in this movie. And I think it's maybe because I think she was pregnant or about to get pregnant towards the film, and during the filming of this movie, so her boobs look a little bit bigger than usual, and it's because of that. So it gets a little titillation factor going, even though she doesn't do a nude scene. But there was one scene where she's laying in the bath, taking a bath in the bathtub, and you just saw her from here up. So you saw her, strapless, get strapless, everything else, her body was covered. Or a body, or a see-through bodysuit to give the impression that she's naked in the bathtub. But you only saw her from here up, so you saw bare shoulders and stuff, which is about as much skin as Jodie Foster ever shows in the movie. And she wears like a tank top for most of this film, strapless tank top, and with straps, and these beginning straps. And that's about as much skin as Jodie Foster ever shows in the movie, to tell you the truth. So you can take anything at this point. I know I'm going on a tangent here, but of how hot Jodie Foster was. And I should mention that Kristen Stewart, even though I know how old Kristen Stewart was when she did this movie. Like I said, this was before she did the Twilight films. But she looked almost just like, if it was anybody who would look like Jodie Foster's daughter, it would have been Kristen Stewart. Because she looked almost exactly like a teenage Jodie Foster in this film. I mean, she really does look like her. She was made up to look like her with her hair, and the way her hairdo was, looked exactly like Jodie Foster, and it was scary how much Kristen Stewart looked like her in this film. And she also was quite good. She was kind of a brat at times throughout the film, but when the stuff goes down when the 3 guys came and worked in the house, she was good for the rest. Pretty much good for the rest of this film. So that's my review of the movie Panic Room. Please click on the video. Please rate it. Please subscribe to my channel. Please forward this video onto your Facebook pages. You can check out all my reviews and on my YouTube channel at RallyC.com, so WDY.com. There's a homepage and Rally Reviewer. Please see more, and please check out all of his videos on his website. Thanks for watching, and catch you next time.